to do in this video is to give some tips of how to encounter the divine presence in your everyday life. Okay, we're going to use an analogy, we're going to use a metaphor, and that's walking along a beach. We've just moved to the city of Peel on the Isle of Man, which has got a gorgeous pair of beaches, so beaches are kind of in my mind at the moment, so we're going to use this as an analogy. I'll stop with the beach analogies at some point, I promise. So we're going to use the water to represent the divine, to represent God, to represent the depth, the core of the universe. There will be times, perhaps, in your life where you dedicate, where you stop doing what you're doing to encounter God. Maybe you go to church on a Sunday, for instance, but we're not talking about that. That would be the equivalent of going for a swim in the water. What I'm talking about is how you can go about your daily business, whether that's at school or at work or around the house, whatever it is that you do every day, Monday to Saturday, the stuff that you do in your normal life, how you can do that but still be in touch with the divine, to still have spirituality in the midst of that life. So I want to imagine that we're going for a walk along the beach. You can either do that on the higher up ground where the sand is soft and dry and powdery, or you can walk nearer the water's edge where the sand is nice and firm and wet and the waves lap over your feet from time to time. That's a picture of what it can be like to walk in the divine presence. So to go about your normal life, but with the divine presence lapping over your feet every now and again. Okay, now, that metaphor begs a whole load of questions about what that means in real life. In future videos, we're going to give some ideas about how practically you do move from the soft sand, the dry sand, nearer to the water's edge. But in this video, I just want to give a couple of hints about what it might look like for God to interact with your life, how God does it, what actually happens, where does that happen in real life. So the metaphor is the waves lapping over your feet. What does that look like in real life? Okay, now, there's no one answer to this, but I just want to give you an answer, a way to do it. Now, in Methodism, we have an understanding that there are 4 key ways that we encounter God in our life, that God talks to us. 4 key ways that God reveals himself to us. And we call that the quadrilateral. Now, to illustrate that, I'm going to show you this thing here. This is a thing I made at college for one of my assignments. I call it a God quad. And it shows these 4 ways that God can talk. So to start with, it looks a little bit like the Methodist logo there. But then it splits off into these 4 sections. So the 4 ways that God can interact with your life. Now, having said that, there are loads of ways. You can never limit God. So I'm not saying these are the only 4 by any means, but these are 4 that, we've got a good track record. So there's experience. We've got what John Wesley, Methodism's founder, called spiritual senses. We've got an innate ability to detect the spiritual. Now, that may happen as a sense that you're connected to something much deeper. There are those moments in life when you think, oh, that was deep. That's your spiritual senses kicking in. There's tradition. We're part of a much bigger body of other believers. There's 2,000 years worth of people who've followed God, who've followed Jesus, who have written down how they found it worked for them. But we're part of a living tradition, and so the practice of going to church and bumping into other people, all of that is a way of finding out how God works. We learn from each other. And one way you can do that practically is through songs. If you're the sort of person where songs or hymns stick in your head, treasure that, because that's a way that God can talk through those. There's scripture. probably the primary, the most important way, but the Bible is this record of, it's a record of how God has interacted with people over thousands of years. It's a deeply powerful and shocking and high energy book. The words of Jesus are amazing. And if we can carry those with us, that can be a way that God can talk. And finally, reason. Our intelligence. We're allowed to use our brains. You can find out about God through science, through philosophy. There are all ways that we can find out about God, and many more besides. Okay, so there's experience, our gut sense of what's going on. One of my favourite sayings is that God comes to you disguised as your life. These encounters with God, they happen all the time, like the waves come all the time. It's not just something that happens, a few times in your lifetime. This is an everyday, every hour, every minute kind of thing. Okay, so you've got your experience, we've got tradition, the fact that we can learn from other people. Whenever you meet another person, that's a place where God can be there in that relationship. So whenever you meet someone, think of them as being someone who carries God. We've got scripture, the Bible, and we've got reason, our intellect. And these four ways together, what in Methodism we call the quadrilateral, the four ways that God's got a good track record of speaking. Now on this God quad, they come together to make a cross shape. The cross symbolises the fact that God absolutely loves you through and through. The cross symbolises the fact that God knows what it is to suffer. Jesus Christ suffered hugely. God knows what it's like to suffer. So when things go badly, when things are rotten, God knows what that's like, and God feels that, and God's with you in it. But Jesus didn't stay on the cross. God brought Jesus back to life again. And we have a God who promises to put things right. This world is in a mess, but God has promised to put it right, and that's the hope that we live for. And that process of putting the world to right has started now. Jesus was the first person to rise from the dead. We'll follow, and there are signs of the resurrection around all the time. That's another way to think about these waves crashing over our feet. It's a sign of the kingdom to come. Okay, so these four ways that God can speak. I hope and I pray that you'll learn increasingly to walk near the water's edge, and that you'll come to recognise and treasure these moments when the waves crash over your feet.